Well, hello everybody. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining me from the takeaways from this year's VMworld conference just finished up in San Francisco. So the good news is, in general, VMware is staying the course, no change, nothing radical happening, keeps innovating around what they call their software-defined data center vision, where we saw a key innovation, which is the first in the industry. We saw, I think it was even a 1,000-day-old VM, which was transferred across VMware, of course, data centers or clouds if you want. But an industry first, still in tech review, coming later. No date that I caught on that. Other interesting pushes were around the Evo architecture being ready for primetime storage usage. And on the vCloud Air side, we heard about innovation having the storage area and offering together with EMC and, interesting enough, public cloud competitor Google, as well as a database offering Microsoft SQL Server. So it's clear that VMware understand what I talked to them last year about in the executive Q&A, and they have to create load for vCloud Air in order to scale, because cloud games are economies of scale games. On the new software development, the cloud native things, as VMware calls them, the Proton project and the whole Proton naming pieces, it came clear from conversation with Kit Colbert, the CTO of that area, that what VMware is trying to do is build the best Linux for virtualized environments, and on top of the best, of course, VMs, and they come from VMware. So creating a common Linux layer on top of VMs. And with that, you can do lots of things. You can take care of lots of open source things, microservices and Docker are the latest buzz, but you can also run fellow sister company in the EMC Federation, Pivotal's Cloud Foundry product, which is doing really, really well, and is now an option for VMware to create load both on-premise or in vCloud Air. So interesting move from that perspective, and good to see the understanding of that. And the Proton side has taken leveraging a number of interesting things. It will help, I think, IT departments to control or approve scary new technologies running on open source, because, hey, they run a VM, they can be managed in the same admin console. There's something they know, there's something they touch. So more innovation probably happening for the enterprise because it's a known entity. Some bold assumptions. The new word in San Francisco is opinionated architecture. The one-to-one relationship between the container and the VM is not what I think microservices should be about. They should scale better and more granularly than VMs. But Kit assured me that it's a very lightweight VM and a very fast to be spawn out VM. So we'll see how that really works and pans out. On the EUC side, some interesting good news. Microsoft is really helping VMware here with Windows 10, Windows 10 being a common platform for smartphones, tablets, and PCs. And with that, all of a sudden, AirWatch, a very well proven, the VMware proven MDM mobile device management tool, becomes a desktop device management tool too. And so hell didn't freeze over, but a Microsoft executive was on stage with Sanjay Poom, the executive for EUC, which nobody would really have expected normally. Could have been a good April Fool's joke. And so the rewrite to leverage more of VMware, the Evo architectures and so on for Horizon seems to be on track. I heard a later of this year date, but take it with a grain of salt. So that is good news here. And because of the coming together of Windows 10, VMware is also talking about Project A Squared, whatever came up with that name, which is a combination of AirWatch working together with app volumes, the very, very impressive capability to manage applications on devices, which got standing ovations last year. This year, it shows how fast things are going, was like, oh, all right, okay, you can do it still 1 year later. So that concludes my takeaways. Really good news that VMware is executing. I asked Pat Gelsinger after the executive Q&A, not in the executive Q&A, sorry, wrong on that one, how the metrics really work, and I always like the openness and honesty. And there's no running around the bushes with VMware. There's clear acknowledgement that the on-premise server number goes down due to the public cloud. With that, the addressable market for VMware and the classic segment of virtualization is going down. And they acknowledge that. So it's good for first thing, and they want to compensate with that by moving to SDDC. That moves the addressable market from 6, I believe the number was, to 30 billion, significant bigger part, but it's still a shrinking pot, so a little bit concerned from my side there. Then, of course, they have the EUC portfolio, and they showed some synergies, maybe some pressure from Elliott, and they have future revenues from vCloud Air, and they have services, which surprisingly to me is a 500 million business for VMware, and is growing at a healthy 20%. So loss of classic virtualization due to less servers, and also shrinking segment, but a bigger part with SDDC, with revenues from vCloud Air, with revenues from EOC, with revenue from services. So hopefully for VMware and their customers, that becomes a relevant equation. It all stands and falls how fast will people give up their servers on premise. Well, that concludes my takeaway. Turned out to be much, much longer. Too many things to say than I wanted. This should have been shorter than reading the blog post. Now I have a sense that looking at the time that I'm live, can't find it so quickly. Doesn't matter how long it was. Thanks for listening, and you can read or you can listen. Thank you.